Alright, what's up guys? Today I am going to start another new series that I have cleverly named Art Talks. And this one is going to be going over some new forms of art that I've learned how to do. My grandpa is just a badass. He has been doing a form of art called scrimshawing for about 45 years now, and ever since I was a child I've been very fascinated with it. I've always thought it's really cool, and as I've begun to get more into the art world and more into my own, I have finally taken the time to learn from him, and I've made two pieces. I recently just finished my second, and I kind of wanted to go over them, the process, what I've learned, and share some of it with you guys. Alright, so this here is the most recent piece I made, which is a mammoth. And it is not only a mammoth, but it is on a piece of mammoth tusk, which is really cool. I'm going to pull it out of the jig real quick and show you some finer details of it. But the back you can see a little bit better. There's kind of like a grain pattern on there of it that you can see of it. And yeah, this is a real piece of mammoth tusk that I made a mammoth on. Let's see if we can get that a little better focused. Boom! So yeah, really excited about this one. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm quite proud of the way it turned out. And we can see on the back here as well that you can kind of see that grain pattern there maybe, and there's this really cool section on the bottom of the texture that you can see. But yeah, I spent about 10, maybe 15 hours making this, and it was a blast. This one over here, let me fix that again. Oh, there we are. I'm in focus. This one here was actually the first piece that I made, and this one I made with my grandpa. And it is a brookie, a rainbow trout. I thought it was a rainbow trout, he called it a brookie, but this one was super cool. Of course, being the first piece I ever made, it was extremely fun, and I made this with my grandpa directly, which was really cool. And this one is also on a piece of faux ivory. So yeah, that was a quick brief look at the two of them. I'll have some pictures on screen at some point of some more detailed close-up pictures of them, but I kind of want to just go over the process and some of the history of this as I know it, and why it's so awesome. So yeah, like I said, my grandpa's been doing this for 45 years, and he kind of got into it under funny circumstances. Him and my grandma were out, and she saw a piece of Scrimshaw jewelry that she was super fond of, and when they looked at the price of it, you know, it was a little crazy, so he kind of just told himself, well, you know, I can do that, and went home and has been self-taught ever since. I'll actually real quick show some pictures right here of his work, and you can see that it is absolutely astonishing. The detail, the craftsmanship, it is one of a kind. And what's extra special about his, including my pieces, is he actually shapes and prepares each piece prior to the art being put on it. So that's really cool. Scrimshawing is a very unique form of art that has been really enjoyable because in a lot of ways it can be kind of tied into drawing and painting, inking especially, but it's still a very unique practice of its own. And it really allows for a lot of expression, like any kind of art, of course, but in a way that I have not found through other mediums. A really fun fact about it is its origins, where way back in the day, the whalers actually are kind of the founding fathers, if you will, of scrimshawing. They would be at sea for months or even years, and in that time, of course, you'd get bored, and you know, back then there wasn't the same technology or quick fix items that we have to curb our boredom. And so they would use various items, most likely, you know, whale bones and their parts to be essentially their canvas, and they would scrape and, you know, make pictures of whatever they pleased, and they would actually use blends of charcoal and coal mixed with, you know, various solutions, water, spit, whatnot, to create their own inks that they would then fill it with. Of course, I'm not 100% sure the true natures of the origins. This is just the knowledge that has been passed on to me and through some of my own research, there is also a lot of credibility towards the Inuit people that possibly have started this as well. There was a lot of connections between the whalers and the Inuits of kind of collaborating on the creation of this beautiful art form, which is also very cool. A lot of ancient cohesion. Okay, Jesse from a few hours later here. I did a little more research and I did find that what was actually used originally for scrimshaw was sometimes charcoal and coal, but it was actually more commonly soot, which is a little different, and it was more so rubbed in dry. It wasn't always mixed with spit or water like I thought. I think that was more of a wives' tale, but I did find some other stuff saying that they may have mixed it with some oils or spit and water as well, just to have a little more fluid entry, because that would dry and leave pretty much the same final product. Just wanted to clear that up so that I wasn't giving you guys too much misinformation. I also did mostly confirm that it was the whalers and sailors of the late 1600s, early 1700s era that really kind of invented scrimshawing. So there's that. But yeah, I wanted to go over, like I said, a little bit of the process of it. So I have my materials here, and I'm just going to kind of bring them up one by one and go over how they're done. This here is some mammoth tusk, and it's a nice, hard, very durable, not so porous material. Very, very good for this practice. And the main tool that you'll be using is one of these right here. I don't know what the name of it would be. This is actually a custom tool that my grandpa gave me. It is a dental tool from the company Hugh Freedy, and he basically just snips them off and then sharpens them on a whetstone to a very fine point, and that's kind of what your scraper or line work tool would be, kind of the main tool you're going to be using for the majority of it. And then after you kind of have that baseline down, you then will fill it with ink. I will also, of course, have some progress stuff here as I talk about it, and I'll kind of point them out in the classic YouTube manner, like right here, right here, right here. I skipped ahead a little bit. Initially, what you would want to do is take your piece and create a template using a form of erasable medium, like, you know, charcoal, graphite, whatever works best for you. And again, here, I'll show some examples. But then from there, you would scrape in and put your initial layer of ink, like this here. Twice you get to see that. And then from there, it's kind of the most tedious part comes along next, where you then take your scraper tool again and just very gently kind of scratch out and create abrasion across your whole working surface, because your initial piece is polished and will not hold the ink without that. After, you know, you have your line work done and your initial kind of scrape through, then you would follow to this step here, where you add ink across the whole surface to fill it in. And the ink you're going to want to be using, of course, is not charcoal and spit, but any form of India ink. The Higgins I'm very fond of. I have had some hard times finding it recently, so I've started using the Bombay, which I know people have mixed feelings about, but I will say so far I've really enjoyed it, and it's been very opaque, very good, and holds up tight. And you know, of course, it's once you have your next layer of ink down and your kind of whole piece is covered, at that point it's a lot of reductive work using your scraper tool again to just remove the parts that are unwanted. You're kind of creating more texture and more highlights, you know, leaving the ink for your shadows, maybe redefining some of what you already established. And from there, in reality, the piece could be done, but you know, for my mammoth, I wanted to use some color on it, and so I actually got this very wonderful terracotta color. It's very pretty, and I mixed it with this brown color. Let me mix that up so you can see it a little bit better. This kind of brown color to establish that sanguine, I believe it's called, color that you see a lot of, oh, what are they called? A lot of the Conte crayons in. I really love that color. It kind of creates the almost antique or ancient feel that a mammoth would have. So I did mix that myself to get that color in. Just realized it's not been the most focused, but we're just gonna roll with it. And yeah, once you get to that point where you're ready for color, you kind of just dab it in where you want, essentially. I I use a few different things. The main things I use are these script liners. This one is a 20/0 Princeton script liner. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it really noticeable, but it has a very, very fine tip to it, as well as this other 0 round from Princeton, another very short, fine tip, just because most of Scrimshaw will be that kind of smaller, more micro workspace. You do want finer brushes to do that, and that is what I did with the trout, of course, is I kind of brushed in the colors along it and added those kind of near the end. This one I never fully blacked with ink. As you see here, it was kind of in layers of which color I'm working with. And yeah, at that point, again, it's just a little bit of reductive work and some fine tuning, and it's you know, it kind of comes together. It's a more simple process than not, but like a lot of, really, in my opinion, the best art forms, it's a very precise, very controlled art form, and that's what really just makes it so incredible. And yeah, once your pieces are done, there's a few different options that you can go with, but the main thing I do is use this matte finish. I try to get a enamel coating. I don't believe this one is. The enamels are usually just a little more durable, but a piece like this is not really for wear, unlike a lot of my grandpa's that he makes belt buckles and ties and knife handles out of. So something like this, a non-enamel finish, is more than enough. Really, you're just trying to waterproof it because a lot of this India ink can be activated by water. And the way of kind of going about it is not what you'd think. You don't really want the material all over it. And so what you do is take something like an old tin cap or whatever, and you just spray some of the coating in there, and then I will take a very cheap kind of throwaway brush from Home Depot, something like this, you know, has a little bit of a edge to it, very thin, very flat, creates a very good kind of, you know, brush for it. And I just kind of brush it onto the inked spots to create a nice fine seal. And then if you don't want to have to throw every brush away, get some mineral spirits, and you can use that to clean your brush out. And once that dries, you are finished, and the Scrimshaw is done. And again, it's not a super complicated process, but excuse me, very controlled, very precise, and just incredibly fun. I highly recommend as many people as possible to check it out, especially because, as you saw, not many tools go into it, and the barrier of entry is very low, and the money barrier of entry is very low, that is. So something that's very appealing to a lot of us artists out there, I can imagine. Also, something else that you will not necessarily need, but it helps to have, is some form of a jig like this. I'm very fortunate that my grandpa is, as I said, a complete badass, because he makes these for me. He just took 2 blocks of aluminum and basically drilled through for these 2 big pins up here and the third kind of tightening pin, and then just punched all of these little holes, and it has all these little tiny aluminum rods that go in there that, when placed and, you know, kind of clamped and tightened, it creates a secure work area that holds your material in place and allows you to kind of have a little more control over it. This one, just place it in and tighten this down gently to a point where nothing comes out, and it just holds your piece and gives you a little more control when working on it. And yeah, that's I think that's all I have on scrimshawing for now. I just really wanted to share that and the super fun experience I had. I look forward to definitely doing more of these and making more videos in general on my process of making art and some of the things I've done and where I'm going moving forward. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you know any questions about this and your attempts to enter in this threshold of wonderfulness that is scrimshawing, please feel free to reach out to me. All my stuff is linked, you know, Instagram and whatnot, so please feel free to reach out, and I hope you the best on your journeys with this. I'm going to post a few more things at the end of this video, just add a few stuff, starting right here. Oh yeah, like the YouTube man I am, and just so you can see a little bit more of the scrimshaw in detail. So again, thank you, and have a good rest of your day.